Hello, my name is Chad Patterson, and this is my leader presentation. An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. That's a very powerful statement, especially living in the society we are today, spoken by Mahatma Gandhi. During my presentation, I'll go over his life, his achievements, his leadership style, and I'll conclude as to why I chose him as my leader. Gandhi lived his life basically in search for the ultimate truth. He always thought about different ways of thinking. He really thought of his life as more of an experiment more than anything. But Gandhi was actually born October 2nd, 1869 in India to a prominent politician, his father, and his mother, which was a deeply religious woman who fasted on numerous occasions. He was the youngest of four, went to the primary school at Provender, and he actually was just a mediocre student growing up. But he was always conscientious of his surroundings, his character, and how people perceived him as a person. At age 13, he, due to his Hindu background and religious background, he actually had an arranged marriage. At age 16, his father was actually on his deathbed, and he went to his wife's bedroom one night, and during that time frame, his father actually passed away. And this actually started the true walk of who Gandhi became. At age 18, he attended the law school in London, and shortly thereafter, he went to South Africa, where he got a job offer at an Indian law firm. During that time frame, he was really faced with some racism, some different situations popped up in his life that really caused him to really think back on his life and how society was. At one point, he was beaten up for refusing to give up his seat to a white man. Another time, he was thrown off a train because he refused to go to third class when he had bought a first class ticket. So those things right there, really, from that point, he found his calling as a leader, and that led to his main accomplishments and achievements in life. The first one would be the Salt March in 1930, and which was a 240-mile march to protest a British law banning the independent collection and sale of salt in its colony. The second one was his 21-day fast, which eventually ended the war between the Muslims and the Hindus. And his greatest accomplishment, which he lived for and stood by his whole entire life, was the liberation of India, which actually became a reality on August 15th, 1947. Gandhi was such an effective and influential leader, partly because of his leadership style, which was a servant leadership. Servant leadership has 6 defining qualities: voluntarily subordination, being a servant, acts of service, authentic self, covenantal relationships, and responsible morality. The first one, I'll give an example of each one. The first one would be voluntary subordination. This quality is a revolutionary act of will to voluntarily abandon oneself to others by being a servant and by acts of service. Gandhi was a symbol of service to mankind. The second one would be being a servant, and the quality that makes servant leaders view themselves as servants first and not leaders. And this was one of the top qualities he had. He never looked down on anyone. He always never thought of himself as better than someone. He lived as he was in poverty. He ate as he was in poverty. He dressed as he was in poverty. He was far from judgmental. The acts of service, Gandhi's services started in his days when in South Africa, where he taught in India to speak English without any remuneration to improve their living conditions among racial tensions. And at one point, when a leper actually came to his door, he gave him food, dressed his wounds, looked after him, and then sent him to the hospital. Jesus Christ was actually one of his main people he looked up to. So it was kind of like the story throughout the Bible, and he kind of lived that lifestyle as Jesus Christ lived as well. The fourth one would be authentic self. Gandhi was consistent in his display of humility, integrity, accountability, security, vulnerability. What you saw in Gandhi is what you got. He never told a lie. He always when you surrounded yourself with him, you could feel the presence of how he portrayed himself as a true servant of truth and love and peace. The fifth one would be covenantal relationship. This quality refers to the behaviors of the leader that foster genuine, profound, and lasting relationships with followers. It's building rapport with all your people around you. He had individual relationships with all of his followers, and people believed in him. What he said, he woke up their consciousness through showing them love and understanding on where they were in life, and made them realize that their life could be so much better if they came as one instead of working separately. And the last one would be responsible morality, and it's manifested in the leader's morale reasoning and moral actions. Gandhi championed love, nonviolence, forgiveness, and peaceful civil disobedience as response to the unjust laws. And really, so in conclusion, that basically goes over who Gandhi was as a person, and his leadership styles, and his life. And I'd just like to conclude with this presentation that I chose him because I feel that the world we live in is such a desperate need of change. He showed love in everything he did, and his greatest weapon was peace. He not only liberated India from Britain, but he influenced other great leaders such as Martin Luther King Jr. But he was also, the main thing is he was the conscience of all mankind during his time. If we could just, I feel like if we could just look inside of ourselves and realize that we all have the potential and the leadership skills of what Gandhi portrayed as a person, then we would really realize how beautiful this life could really be. And with that being said, that's exactly why I chose Gandhi, and that's why I still think that he's a prominent figure, and people still look up to him to this day. And I really appreciate y'all listening to what I have to say, and y'all have a good day.